Okay, I'm doing a really quick one today. No microphone because I'm in a rush to get this filmed. So I just wanted to do a follow-up on the withdrawal process of quitting Lamotrigine or Lamictal. I finished my final micro taper back in September of last year, and so it's been almost a year. And for the first several months, I would say I was in really, really bad shape. I had more seizures than I've ever had before. They would happen 2 days in a row. They were always tonic-clonic, grand mal, and I bit my tongue terribly. I have all kinds of scarring on my tongue now because I bit it so many times, and 2 days in a row it's a really bad idea too, because it's bad enough the first time but really bad the second time. So a lot of days of no talking, no eating, and also the many other side effects that Lamotrigine causes that I had even while I was on it. The withdrawal process with that is so, it's so much worse. It's so much worse. The side effects I had while I was on it were bad, and I was in a lot of struggle trying to get through day to day on that. But then when I quit, the first maybe couple of weeks were pretty good. I felt really optimistic that maybe I was through the worst of it. But then the seizures came, and also I developed the derealization, depersonalization, which is a crazy term that I hope they come up with a much smaller, easier word for that. But basically I didn't know what it was until I had it from withdrawal. And it was bad. It was so bad. It was all day, every day. And I know a lot of people get that when they're recovering from benzos, and trauma can cause it. There are a lot of things that can cause it. So it's a really awful thing to live with. You feel like you're not quite here. You're not in your own body. I felt like I was mostly in some kind of dream state, like I was trapped in a dream from when I was 8 years old or something, and it just was overwhelming, especially on cloudy days, which I live in a part of the world that has a lot of cloudy days, and that was tough. So when we have had sun in the summer, that definitely helped. I think that helped get me more stabilized overall, and also it just generally helps to feel a little bit less affected by the weather and the heavy air pressure and all of that. So so that was good. And now we've more recently had, surprisingly for August, we had quite a few cloudy days, and I'm happy to say and thankful to say that it hasn't been as bad. And I've had definitely still bouts of it, but not all day. In fact, most of the day I don't have it. It just hits for a little while and then it goes away. And how do I know it was Lamotrigine that caused that and not just the seizures? Well, because I had it while I was on the Lamotrigine for the first time. And it was just little flashes of it here and there. It wasn't enough for me to think about, so I didn't know what it was called. I just thought it was a little bit strange, but I thought, well, it must be the drug, right? Because I've never had it before. And it was definitely, because once I went into withdrawal, then it was all the time and overwhelming. And if you don't know what DRDP, derealization, depersonalization, if you don't know what that is, it is really, really awful. That in itself is enough reason to never, ever, ever take any drug that will cause that, because it just, a lot of people end their lives, to be honest. They do. There's a very high rate of people who can't keep going on that because it is just so, it destroys you. You can't think straight. And that's part of it too. When I first quit the Lamotrigine completely, even though it was micro tapering, I ended up having really bad double vision, which it had caused while I was on it, but then I got even worse during the withdrawal time. I'm thankful to say, again, that's another one that now, almost a year later, has finally settled. And I did see my eye doctor recently, and we were able to verify that indeed the double vision is gone. So I'm very, very thankful for that, because it's an awful thing to live with. I mean, I can't drive anyway because of the seizures, but even just going out in a car with other people while you have double vision is it's dizzying. It's hard to focus on things when it's at its worst, especially. So I still have the hypnic jerks that I got while I was on Lamotrigine. It did get worse once I quit, and now it has tapered off some. It's not gone, but it's not every single day. So I'm thankful for that too, because that is a frustrating thing to live with. Not one of the worst things, but it definitely disturbs sleep quite a bit, and that's a big problem for me. So I would still say it is a terrible thing to go on this drug. I know not everyone gets these horrible side effects. I had a long list of them that I mentioned many of which in my last video about Lamotrigine. But quitting it has been so much harder than I ever thought it could be. I knew that there was going to be some withdrawal, and every time I tapered there was some issues, but they would eventually settle down, so I felt like, okay, I'm in the right direction here. I had no idea how much worse it was going to get. Since I quit Lamotrigine, I've had more seizures than I've ever had in my entire life, and that was all within about 6 months of quitting. Eventually, after having many of these bouts, I ended up in the hospital again and not recovering well. My tachycardia was not settling down, and the doctor there, who I'm pretty sure was the same one that actually put me on the Lamotrigine, although it had been prescribed previously by the neurologist I had been seeing at the time as well, but he just said, yeah, go ahead and take that. That's the best way to do it. And he put me on a drug called clobazam, which is a benzo, which means that I am trapped on that for the rest of my life, because quitting that can be as bad as quitting Lamotrigine. And I dread that desperately. I really want to find a solution to what's causing these seizures and everything else that's going on in my health. But even if I do, and I pray that I do, quitting this benzo that I have been on for more than 6 months now is going to be extremely hard, and it's going to have to be a very slow taper, probably over the course of many years, and then I don't even know if I'll ever be able to completely quit it. I might have to keep some in my system always, because once your body becomes dependent on these drugs, then it doesn't learn how to not be dependent on it when you quit. It doesn't bounce back at some point. It just is flailing. It doesn't know how to function properly anymore. So you lose sleep. A lot of times you can't sleep at all. I know that. And then there's all these other things, the derealization and all that kind of thing. These things are going to probably come back if I ever try to quit this drug. So I am thankful that since I started the benzo in January, I have only had one seizure. So that was called a breakthrough seizure. And there was just one. There wasn't 2 days in a row at least. And I barely had any aura for that one, which is a bit scary because I wasn't even sure if I was going to be having a seizure or not. So I did prepare myself just in case, and it's a good thing I did, because that helped a lot. And in that case, my husband also waved the frankincense under my nose, which helped the seizure to be much shorter. So it only lasted, he thinks, probably about 30 seconds. So he wasn't able to record that one because it was quicker. So I am thankful for that. And I know that you're not supposed to put anything in your mouth, but one of the things I did in that about 2-second frame that I had was I grabbed a cloth and I put it in between my teeth here, where I always bite my tongue on that side, and that did stop me from biting my tongue. So that helped with my recovery, because I think part of getting your brain working better means that if your body is also trying to heal this horrible wound on your tongue, it's going to take longer. And you're not going to be able to eat very well, so you're not going to get the nutrients that you need, and it's extra inflammation in your body that it has to fight. So saving my tongue was helpful, I think, and I did recover more quickly from that one. That also could be because of the benzo. It may have helped me to bounce back a little bit better. So that was 3 months ago now. So I'm back to 3 months without seizures now, and I'm thankful for that. And we're still trying to identify exactly what caused that to happen. Possibly related to hormone issue that was going on that we have hopefully resolved now. We'll see. But I have a lot more going on that I think I will save for another video. I just wanted you guys to know that, first of all, quitting Lamotrigine is an absolute nightmare. And I have read some people say that it's even worse than quitting benzos. Some of them have quit benzos in the past and then got put on Lamotrigine, and now they're finding it even worse. So I believe it, that there's really not much else you could go through withdrawal-wise that is worse. Somebody quitting street drugs or alcohol or anything like that, they will have a really hard time initially, but then they actually get better. And with this, you don't. Not the same way anyway. But the other thing I wanted to say is at least there is some good news. I am finding that the symptoms are dissipating. That may be in part due to the benzo. It's taken over those parts where the body isn't figuring out how to work properly. But I think also it's probably that I am slowly just recovering. I'm just slowly getting past that point of having to deal with the withdrawal. My body is slowly settling down, and I pray that's the case and that I don't have more seizures. Honestly, I still am so thankful for every day that I don't have a seizure. And I'm very thankful to not be on the Lamotrigine anymore. And I am always careful to tell my doctors whenever things come up, because I'm seeing a lot of doctors still because I have a lot of stuff wrong with me. And then I always try to tell them, this is what's going on. Okay, this is what happened. It's because I took Lamotrigine. Even my eye doctor, she didn't believe me initially when she tested me a year ago and I had double vision. She wanted to put prisms into my glasses. She wanted to actually have them carved into my glasses so that I could see better. And I refused that. I just got some temporary ones to put on my glasses because I didn't really want to give in and say, that's it, I have double vision forever. And I didn't think that I did. I was pretty sure that is a known side effect of Lamotrigine, is double vision, which for a lot of people will just look like blurriness, right? But what you do is if you cover one eye and if you can see clearly again, and then you open the other eye and you open that eye again, and then you can see blur, then that would mean double vision because your eyes are not working in tandem. They're not grabbing that object properly. So that's a good way of knowing if you have double vision, or if it's a blurry vision, that means something else. So that's one thing I'm very, very thankful to be done with, because it is awful. So I will say I did have one doctor who, I think the one who actually prescribed it, who actually did say that in a note in one of my many trips to Emerge that yes, what I'm dealing with right now is likely because of the Lamotrigine withdrawal. So he knew, at least he's seen other people have problems with it, I'm guessing. Or at least maybe he's read the paperwork, because I don't know if really doctors do read all the paperwork on these drugs very much, or if they just take what the salesperson says and they just go with it. So either way, I'm trying to get the word out as best I can. Doctors generally don't really answer me when I tell them about that, because they don't want to have to do the big long report, and they probably really like prescribing a Lamotrigine and they feel like they're solving problems and all that kind of thing. They don't want to know how bad it actually is. So that is really sad. But that's where I am today, and hoping and praying that it just keeps on getting better from here. I still have a lot of other things to deal with, but I am glad that it looks like we're finally looking in the rear view mirror for the Lamotrigine withdrawal, and hopefully in the coming year or two that it'll be completely out of my system and gone, and it won't be an issue anymore. So I hope that was helpful. And if you are looking at trying to take Lamotrigine, just be aware that this could happen to you. It may not. It doesn't happen to everyone. But I really like what someone said. He was talking about benzos in that case, but it works with Lamotrigine as well. Before you agree to take a drug, look on Facebook and see if there's a recovery group for it, full of thousands of people, right? Because there is with Lamotrigine and with benzos, right? So we should be a lot more aware, because doctors are not telling us, and I think it's usually because they don't know. They don't want to know, because this is all they have to offer you to feel like they're doing something good to help you out. But what they're doing is actually a lot of damage. So we don't want them to be able to do that. We don't want them to want to do that. We want them to have a conscience about this and say, you know what, there's this drug, but keep in mind it could cause all these problems. It's not as well tolerated as the drug companies claim it is. So thank you for watching, and God bless.